Hey everyone, Reid Henrichs with Valor Ridge. I'm going to show you some elected officials that we're supposed to be afraid of. Let's go ahead and get started. Folks, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know that I call out people on both sides of the political aisle when they violate constitutional rights and when they violate the principles of our Constitution, which is what government is duty and oath bound to uphold and follow. Recently, the President of the United States, President Trump, of whom I've been critical on the Second Amendment and his words about, but nonetheless, in other areas has been a good president as well. But nonetheless, he held a political rally last night in Minneapolis. And during that rally in the city of Minneapolis, you had not only the mayor of Minneapolis being public about his political views against the president, you had other demonstrations outside of this event. Now, I'm going to show you a picture of an individual who is a House representative member in the Minnesota State Legislature. As you can see from this person, obviously individual that was elected by people to serve in the Minnesota House, this individual marched with Antifa, a group who not only verbally threatened police officers in the city of Minneapolis, but a group that also physically assaulted a member who was there to see the president speak, who was in the rally. Of course, these individuals knew that because that person had been in the rally that he or she was unarmed, and of course descended upon this individual and punched them in the back of the head. Now, this Minnesota representative was protesting with the crowd of Antifa. In other words, was a part of it, dressed in black. Now, as you can see, this Jabba the Hutt with blue hair is the person who is enacting policy at the state level in Minnesota. This can be extrapolated nationally. Antifa's got their mouthpieces in Congress as well. And these are the people that we're supposed to cower and be afraid of? No, I don't think so. Here's what I would do if I was descended upon by a crowd of individuals who were making verbal threats and physical threats to my life. There would be deadly force applied. There's no question about it. Courts across the nation have upheld the disparity of force. And when you know your rights, then you need to understand that this is why the Second Amendment exists. Is because when anybody who disagrees with you politically, that's fine if you disagree with somebody politically. But when it turns physically violent, when you as a sitting member of an elected legislative body participate in that, well, I'm sorry, but your position does not give you any privilege to do that. So these are the people that we're supposed to be afraid of. These are the people calling the shots not only at the state level, but in many ways across the federal level. And we're supposed to give up our firearms and acquiesce to them? I don't think so. See, in the future, I see this increasing. I see it getting worse. I see them becoming more brazen. I see them becoming more bold. And it's because of times like this that the Second Amendment was written. And you have to ask yourself this question: at what point does these members of government become illegitimate? At what point do they forfeit their office? Because every time that they get elected, they put their hand up and affirm or swear on the book of their choice that they will support and defend the Constitution. Well, when you're doing the opposite of that, you forfeited that. And it's times like these that our forefathers faced. It's times like these that we're going to have to make tough decisions, and we're going to have to recognize that these people not only disagree with us, but they will do everything in their power to physically harm us. They will use agents of government, whether that's police or federal agencies, in order to shut us up and threaten us. And they've proven that they're willing to do this. Just the other day, Beto O'Rourke said that any church that does not toe his views on what morality should be will lose tax-exempt status. So here's a guy that's calling for the outright registration and confiscation of firearms. Now he's talking about getting rid of the First Amendment. So the first it doesn't need to happen. The second doesn't need to happen. These people are nuts. They will shred the entire Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Where does that leave us? That leaves us with two options: compliance or rebellion. And if we are going to keep this country, if we're going to keep this republic, and if we're going to keep our own family members safe, then we've got to make some decisions here in the future. Now, we can keep protesting. We can keep appealing to judges, many of whom are part of these groups as well. Believe it or not, there's many activist judges out there that would gladly side with this triple-chinned representative from Minnesota that would say, oh, she had a right to do that. She had a right to encourage violence. You know that there's no justice with corrupt judges. And when we get to the point where even judges now are corrupt, where political representatives are corrupt, members of the government agencies that have firearms are corrupt, you kind of put us in a very difficult position to be in. For this reason, I say stand yourself on principles that have been there since the nation's founding, and that is the individual right to keep and bear arms, the right to life, which means the right to protect it, the right to speak out against such evil, and that's exactly what it is. And as we come up here on the Feast of Tabernacles and we do and honor the creator of heaven and earth, which is exactly who we have our rights recognized that are coming from in the Declaration of Independence. We have to proceed with courage, we have to proceed with boldness, we have to proceed with poise, and never back down from these imbeciles, never back down from these godless people, never back down from these individuals who would strip away our rights, or at least attempt to. Not on my watch, not in my lifetime, and I know many of you watching this video feel the exact same way. Folks, if you want to come out and learn how to defend your life and against violent criminals, both that wear the veneer of legitimacy through government or petty criminals that would try to hurt you and your family, come on out to Valor Ridge and we can help you with that. If you're unable to come out to class, if you want to support us anyway, check me out on Patreon. Link is in the description box below. This is Reid Henrichs reminding you, the lessons that we learn are written on the tombstones of others. We'll see you on the Ridge.